Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger. Up next on the GM, Todd Monken breaks his silence. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's talk about it. So, Todd Monken finally speaks 4 months after, excuse me, the Baltimore Ravens AFC Championship debacle. It's a conversation, it's statements that I've been wanting to hear since that game ended. We've heard from everybody: John Harbaugh a couple of times, EDC a couple of times, Lamar Jackson a couple of times, Roquan, Kyle Hamilton, so on and so forth. And we've even heard from Derrick Henry a couple of times, but we have not heard from Todd Monken until yesterday. And so we want to take a listen to a couple of different clips I queued up from an article from the Baltimore Ravens website. And we're going to take a listen and then we'll come back and talk about what we actually heard. So, first clip.
Obviously. I try not to look back, I appreciate that, but it is what it is. We didn't play well enough, didn't coach well enough. Didn't execute at a high level, and that starts with me, and that's the way it goes. Certainly we could have run the ball better. Could have executed better. Not turn the ball over. But, that's what you do. The only way you look back is to learn. What didn't we do well? What was the plan we initially went in with? Was it execution, or did we not stick with the plan? That's a part of it. Just like it was the week before. Just like it was the week before that.
So, what did we really hear from Todd Monken? Was that a bunch of coach speak or was that anything of substance? Well, he starts out by talking about playing well enough, executing well enough, and coaching well enough. Well, the truth is, anytime a team loses, no matter the sport, it's always going to be a question of did we play, coach, and execute well enough? So that sounds like a bunch of coach speak. But something that Todd Monken said that I thought was interesting, that stood out pretty loudly to me, was when he questions, was it execution or did we stick with the game plan? Anytime a coach begins to question, did we stick with the game plan? You know what that says? Panic. It says that the Baltimore Ravens found themselves in a situation where they panicked. But the truth was, and is, they were never out of reach. This game was never out of hand. And if you stick with plan A, then this game certainly could have turned out different, even with the mistakes. But let's listen to Todd Monken speak a little bit more, and we'll come back with some more commentary.
I'm not trying to justify, I promise you that, Monken said. In general, we needed to run the ball better. That's a fact. You can't control the game if you can't run the football. We did give ourselves a chance in the second half. But we've got to attack them the way we plan to attack them, and I've got to do a better job. That's what I'm paid to do it against the best when it counts.
All right, let's point out two things from this clip. First, Todd Monken became a little bit indignant when you watch this video live. But nevertheless, when we look at his commentary, what he says is we should have run the ball better. And I think that better is not the word that should have been used. The word should have been more. More should have been the operative word. The statement should have been we should have ran the ball more. The Baltimore Ravens in this game, as we all know, we all have belabored, we all have talked about, they ran the ball for a total of 16 times, only 7 times in the second half. This is a game that the Kansas City Chiefs were sensitive in the middle of their defense. The starting defensive tackle was out, their starting linebacker went out in this game, and the Baltimore Ravens never really tested them in the run game. So it's not a factor if the Baltimore Ravens had have ran the ball better. They should have ran the ball more. A key point in this game, if you guys remember, was right before half. Um, I think Gus Edwards had just broke loose for 6 yards. It was either Gus Edwards run for six or Isaiah Likely catch for six. I think it was a run for six. And the Baltimore Ravens let the 2 minute warning come, I believe, and they passed the ball and gave the Chiefs back with gave the Chiefs back the ball with a minute and like 45 minute and 50 seconds left. They went down the field and got a field goal. Well, If the Baltimore Ravens just ran the ball on second down and on third down, we should have been able to pick up 4 yards and keep the Chiefs from going to score. That changes how the game is played out in the end. But the fact is, Todd Monken is getting ready to let us know that indeed they panicked and they abandoned the game plan. How do we know they panicked and abandoned the game plan? Because one of the last statements he makes in this clip is, we need to attack them the way we planned, which means what they did in the AFC Championship was not a part of the plan. So here's a big question. Who's responsible? You see, because when Todd Monken says we needed to have attacked him the way we planned, that means between him and John Harbaugh, somebody changed it up. Somebody changed up the approach. Well, we heard John Harbaugh live on TV during the game say, going into the second half, yes, we need to run the ball more. Wait a minute. Todd Monken says we need to have run the ball better. But John Harbaugh said more. So it sounds like more was the operative word. The question is, somebody didn't have the fortitude to put the foot down and say, you know what? This is what we're going to do, right? Did Todd Monken buck John Harbaugh's leadership? Or did John Harbaugh not do a great job communicating what needed to happen? Either way, both of them need dunce caps and to be sat in the corner and not to speak again about the AFC Championship because they should have allowed this conversation to die. But when you talk about it, you bring up memories, thoughts, and criticism. Let's listen to another clip.
We want to make it better for all of our players, Lamar especially, Monken said. Streamline it in a way that we become a more consistent offense. I thought there was a lot of good things we did last year. We've got to work to start faster. That's inevitable, but year 2 we should be able to do that.
You see, this last statement from Todd Monken was about starting faster, helping out Lamar, making things more streamlined, that kind of thing. The problem I have with this statement is that from week 8 through week 17, the Baltimore Ravens had no problems or had minimum problems getting the game started offensively. And so for them to show up in the divisional round and have trouble getting started against the Texans, and then for them to turn around in the AFC Championship, have trouble getting started and never getting started in this game, really, that's on coaching. That's on outsmarting yourself. That's on being scared. That's not believing in what you've been teaching. That's not believing in what you've been scheming. That's not believing in what you've been planning. You see, in the beginning of the season last year, it made sense that the Baltimore Ravens would get off to a slow start because they were implementing in real life time the game plan, the scheme, seeing how it would work out with real live competition. But once they got rolling, they didn't slow down at all. And so who we were and what we showed in the playoffs didn't look like the Ravens at all. You know, we came alive in the second half against the Texans, but then it was like we sleptwalked the entire AFC Championship. And it sounds like it's because we abandoned the game plan. Why is the game plan important? Because this is what we coach and teach all week long. This is what we install. This is what we implement. Here are the check-ins. Here are the checkouts. Right? Here are the audibles. Here's the group packaging. All those kind of things. This is what you game plan. But when you abandon that, you better have a rock solid plan B. And it doesn't look like they did. So he's absolutely right. He does have to be better. But I hope he has an opportunity to show what's better in 2024. Let's listen to a clip where he talks about Rashad Bateman, and then we'll close out this video.
As the year went on, Rashad really came on, and I've seen tremendous growth, Monken said. I expect a tremendous year from him, and we certainly could have found a way to get him the ball more.
What? What is Todd Monken saying? The Baltimore Ravens EDC and John Harbaugh should have kept Todd Monken under a gag order, which is what he's been under the entire offseason. Because if this is what he was going to say, he should have just not said anything. I saw tremendous growth from Rashad Bateman, 32 catches, 370, I think 3 yards, something like that, right? He's not a fourth receiver. He's not a third receiver. The Baltimore Ravens needed him to step up and be the number one or number two. He has less than Nelson Aguilar numbers on a season. He was available for the entire season. But you're telling me you saw tremendous growth? If you saw tremendous growth, then why didn't you scheme up to get him involved? Don't tell me after the season, after you could have used him for 17 games last year, that we should have got him more involved. Tell me what you're going to do to get him more involved. Tell me how you're going to scheme it up. Tell me where you're going to line him up. Tell me that you have a plan in place to make it happen. Don't tell me what you should have done, because it's obvious. Uh, um, he averaged less than 2 catches per game, but you saw tremendous growth. He's not a rookie. He's not Devontae Walker coming into the 2024 season, and you're hoping that he can put up some impact numbers. He's a 3-year veteran going into a fourth year. You're talking about you saw some tremendous growth, but you didn't scheme him up. You didn't plan to get him involved. That makes no sense. If you couldn't get him involved on the outside where him and Lamar could develop a connection, move him to the slot, make him a big slot, move him around, put him in position to do what he needs to do. But now you're gonna tell me you saw some growth, but you should have got him more involved. Just stop. Todd Monken, EDC, John Harbaugh, just don't talk about the AFC Championship again. Matter of fact, let's not talk about last year anymore. Because when you talk about last year and you say things that are obvious, so it's just a bunch of coach speak, you really kind of push people's buttons the wrong way. I really hope that Rashad Bateman is what they intend on him being, because the Ravens need him to be. They need him to be some semblance of a first round pick. They need him somewhere around 60 to 70 catches. They need him somewhere between 850 and 1,000 yards. That's what they're going to need from Rashad Bateman this season. So, Todd Monken, you said, hey, should have got him involved last year, which means you're planning to get him involved this year. You see, sometimes it's better not to say anything and just prove it versus saying it and people have to wait on you to prove it. You guys let me know what you want me to know about Todd Monken and his commentary. Do you think he was just giving a bunch of coach speak, or do you think he gave us something of substance? I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.